Yo, 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 yo. What's the deal? It's me, Drew Brown, the professional coach, and you are listening to the Professional Chronicles. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about creative Drew. Creative Drew. So we went from childhood Drew, college Drew, corporate Drew, and now we talking about that creative Drew Brown. Man. So again, some of this kind of overlaps. I think a lot of things in life overlap. It's kind of how life flows. So today, I want to talk to you about how I got into my creative bag. And as promised, like I said from the last episode, um, this is the solution I stumbled upon in the midst, deeply in the midst of I would call it professional reset starting in 2017. I had to have a professional reset. And I mean that from in every sense of the phrase, the professional reset, because, I started working from the bottom. I really was working from the bottom. And when I was working from the bottom, man, it really made me get creative. And one thing I learned in business is that everybody's not going to be a business owner. Everybody's not going to be the big rich millionaire CEO. Everybody doesn't want to be that. But just because you got a job, profession, doesn't mean that you can't be creative. And that's when, that's how I guess how I got into this creative Drew. So creative Drew, was shaped by the corporate world. It brought me into a deeper meaning, something with dealing with creativity, expression, and more importantly, purpose. When I was in the corporate world, one thing I learned, which is why I wrote the book. Nobody wants to hire CEOs because nobody, they don't want all your ideas all the time. I used to try to do creative things, at my jobs, and that was some of the conflict I would have. Is that the things I was trying to bring to the job, they didn't need at the time. They didn't need it. They didn't ask me for it. I was trying to bring out my ideas that were good, but they weren't on the budget. They wasn't what we was paying people to do, and I didn't understand that. So from that, I just, said, all right, I'm just not gonna worry about it. But then, like I said, working at Cracker Barrel made me be extremely, extremely creative. And then from it, what I learned is that everybody can be creative, even if you're not doing it for business. Just start you a hobby. If this is what I say to everybody, this is my solution, the number one solution. If you hate your job, because what people don't realize is when you hate your job, that's a thought. Okay. And that thought is gonna float around your head whenever it feels like, and it's gonna float around your head rent free. In order to deal with that thought, capture that thought, process that thought, manage that thought, you have to get your mind to think about something else, and that's where hobbies come into play. But I'm not gonna get that deep into that right now because I do have something very special called the Happy Mindset Theory series, and that's where we're gonna get deeper into that about how you can take your hobby and help it fix your life. But for right now, we're talking about that creative Drew. So one thing that I didn't know at the time was the stories I had inside of me, the message. I make music, the different ideas for business and stuff like that, and then more, the books. I had all this stuff in me, but I didn't have really an outlet, and I was kind of like a man with a message, but wouldn't, but no, nowhere to put it. And it was kind of like if I had to think of it, like a volcano ready, just waiting to erupt. And then boom, it finally erupted after I had all that trouble at Cracker Barrel, just dealing with that. And I wanted more for my life, more for my family. I began to level up a little bit, and that's when my creative muse was born. And that's when I came up with the name Dr. Two Pens. Started out as Two Pens, and then in my first book, Slave Minds, I was just talking and just talking noise like I like to do. And I was saying that because of the work I've done and all these mental health parodies that I've created, I'm just gonna call myself Dr. Two Pens. But it's no shade to anyone who's actually gone out and completed a doctoral program. We don't want to shade those people because I know that there's a lot of work. Yeah, I know that firsthand from watching my wife do hers. So with that said, yeah, Dr. Two Pens, my creative muse, and I learned about creative muses when I was at Bacone College. So that's another one of those overlapping pieces that go into, Drew Brown, who he is today. But Dr. Two Pens is kind of like you could call it a character, my alter ego. It's my muse, it's my pen name. It's a doorways to all things imaginative in my life. It gives me, the creative freedom to run freely throughout my mind and blocks out all the negative things that try to hinder that creative muse. So I could say that Dr. Two Pens definitely helped me free my mind up a little bit. It taught me a way, to be in a professional world that wasn't restricted by these so-called societal norms. So with that came me, starting to build my creative empire. Starting with the books. I started writing books in 2019. Published my first book, Slave Minds. It's a really good book. But that was my first book. Since then, I've written 17, and about to start pushing Fix Your Grown Up again. Man, got some good things in that book for you. It's my best work so far. But yeah, man, I started writing books and I've always kind of done music, but I never really put anything out like that. But I got some music coming out too in 2026 too. But yeah, man, I started making music with Dr. Two Pens. Now we making videos. Of course, the Drew's Crew Villains, the Villains podcast, me and my boy Esau Picasso, aka Gap Lord. We do that. I had this, show now, the Professional Chronicles, and I also have On the Corner with Dr. Two Pens, where I just talk about books and just different things dealing with creativity, just really just pushing the imagination. But that's more so like an entertainment channel. This is a more of a self-help brand. We want to help you with everything we're talking about. So that's why I created things like the happy mindset, the Drew business model, how I like to help people by just taking by using the acronym. I made my name into an acronym, which I have a video about that as well. And also just the professional coach brand. Like I said, this brand is here. We're here to help people with the content that we deliver and the services that we offer. So what I had to do was I had to stop, I had to stop looking, to create attention, and I started looking to create impact. And that it was I was trying to get people to notice me at first, and that's why it took me so long to put this stuff out, because I'm trying to get people to notice me, and I'm trying to create attention instead of creating the impact, which is what we stand for. That's what I'm about, is creating impact. And everything else will work itself out. So I would definitely say that Creative Drew has stepped in and took on, his true assignment, guiding people, connecting lessons to real life, and translating hardships into clarity, and just keeping things funny. Dr. Two Pens is funny. I'm a funny guy. I make a lot of good jokes. If you know me, you know. So yeah, I feel like if I had ignored this creative calling, I just don't think I'd be as successful as I am today. I could be successful, but I might not be satisfied. And a lot of people are, they can have a high level of success and still, feel a void in their life. So, I'm glad I'm fulfilled, but I'm not complete. I got more to do. I have more things that I want to achieve, and just, more life to live, whatever the case may be, But like I said, the goals are just to make an impact with the stuff that we're doing, the work that I'm doing, the work that I produce, the services I offer, and that's what I do as Creative Drew, and that's how it powers me to the professional coach. Definitely, helps the professional coach think creatively to solve complex business issues in a cost-effective manner. You know what I mean? So yeah, so Drew, I'm definitely the businessman, the stingy businessman. I'm the strategist, but I also work as a dual force creator. That's half wisdom, half imagination, and that's where my street instincts come into play from being a kid on the east side. The college side of Drew starts to come in, where I learned to learn. The corporate Drew, where I had to just humble myself and learn how to be a better servant leader. And then now the creative expression Drew, and all of these things merge together to build the professional coach. And that is the professional coach. And that's why I am the professional coach, because of all of the things that I went through as a child on the east side of Oklahoma City, my experience during my collegiate years, from not only grad school, but not from undergrad to grad school, had good experience in both, good internships. And in my corporate life, those internships that I had, those jobs that I had, those people that I got to meet, the experiences, priceless, shaped me for life. And then it brought me into being a just extremely creative person, that is to the point now that I can't even stop. I can't even control it. I just do whatever. Whatever it tells me to do, I just do it. So what do what do you think? You think being creative can help you overcome the nightmare job you have. They help me. So let me know in the comments, share it with your people, like I said, comment, subscribe. And until next time, we'll be seeing you. Peace.